I do come from San Antonio. I haven't been to D.C. since 7th grade, so I've got this great plan to be a tourist tomorrow. And that's especially fun when you live in a tourist town. And I live in downtown San Antonio. And so I think I'll start by reading the poem, a poem called "The Man Who Gives Bad Directions in Downtown San Antonio." And this did sort of come about. I spent a lot of time strolling my 2 small daughters around downtown, and people would always ask me for directions. But the problem was they always wanted to go places that I didn't think were worth going. So I had this idea that well, maybe I'll just like tell them to go where I want them to go. And then I kind of thought, what if there was like a guy who just sat there and did that? And that's sort of the fun thing about persona poems is you get to graft your obsessions or quirks onto somebody else. So this is his poem. The Man Who Gives Bad Directions in Downtown San Antonio. The first time I realized that I had said, keep going, through 3 lights, not 2, I tried to catch the couple with out-of-state plates, but they were already turning left from the middle lane without signaling, slowly making their way towards my mistake. I imagined them passing the wax museum, steering towards where the sky widens with the white silence of egrets this time of year, and the silver fish shadow deeper with their secrets. I used to tell myself if 2 rights make an L and 3 a U, 1 wrong makes an accident, but 100 wrongs, that's a life. I'm not a bad man, but I met my wife trying to talk to her sister. I still can't dance, but that first night when I turned her the wrong way, we crashed, and she caught her breath in my arms. Where's the Alamo? That's one kind of mission. This is another. Truth is, you're already lost when you find me. Listen closely. There are mesquite bricks breathing beneath this road. The turns it takes followed cows, not rulers. And smothered beneath the exit where you got off the highway was once a place called Jimmy Woo's, where the counter divided by color, but the Mexicans in the kitchen served them all the same gray chow mein. See, you're leaning out your window now, nodding, without ever taking your eyes from my face. As you heard, this poem does begin with an epigraph by the great Portuguese poet Browne. If you don't know about him, he wrote not only under pen names, but he created whole other persons. And I think there was a time in the 20s when he was the 4 most popular writers in Portugal. They were all him. And so he has this great quote, be plural like the universe. And you know, I'm not terribly inspired by the metaphor of birth for the creative process, but this idea of being one body that becomes 2 bodies, and that sense of being a divided self was something that was very real to me during the writing of this book. So this is a poem that takes the second half of that Peshwa quote as its title, like the universe. Today the brain a scattergraph of slipped coordinates, and I failed geometry. Plum gave up on astrology when I learned it was mostly math. The only pattern out there is in the finger of a man tapping telephone buttons on air, figuring the constellation of a connection he once knew by heart. Disappointment, a clear sky, with too much dead light below to name stars. So what if we all just insist our hearts, plural, want out of the chorus, tired of enunciating to the universe of cough, shuffle, and sigh? Peshwa once wrote to a friend, I have been on the move several years now in order to collect ways of feeling. Mrs. Whittier, who turns 103 on Tuesday, says maybe if we all just wake up each day a little less angry. Maybe. After the field trip, a child supposes if the people who saw us didn't know we were a school, they might think we were a mighty family. I think the world, maybe if they didn't see how we franchise cruelty and chew silently in our plastic corners, they might mistake us for a mighty family too. I used to think I knew who we and they were for sure. Peshwa also wrote, "Let me have more wine, life is nothing." Sometimes I ask rooms full of children, have you ever gone inside your poems? One boy says, you would have to be small, very, very small. That moment I hate most, all the things I've forgotten, the feeling of being so many others, small and learning how to spell February or lightning.